We recently interviewed Tone Vase here on Keiser Report, and he runs the conference called unconfiscatable.com. And unconfiscatable is the quality of Bitcoin that this managing director of Citibank says is uniquely makes it so good. He says Bitcoin is the new gold. It is an asset with limited supply. It is digital. This is the 21st century. Gold is a 20th century asset. It moves across borders easily and ownership is opaque. The last point is, I believe, very relevant. The huge fiscal deterioration of today has a cost in the future, either directly or indirectly. Directly, it is that at some point, the bills have to be paid, which means at some time in the future, the money needs to be found. While Bitcoin may become subject to more regulatory constraints going forward, it is a natural store of money to avoid this. Indirectly, the argument can be the debasement of fiat currencies by creating high nominal growth and inflation, effectively a soft default. I do not believe hard default, particularly in the world's reserve currency, is a real concern. However, in lesser currencies, it could well be.
The word unconfiscatable is key, but before getting to that, just mention talking about defaults. Remember, in 1971, America defaulted on its sovereign debt when it closed the gold window. So another default on the U.S. dollar, it's highly likely. But this word unconfiscatable is important because what it means is that any two people in the world can transact without having to go through a third party. And that means that not only is Bitcoin unconfiscatable, but it's also uncensorable. There's nothing that stops any two people in the world from transacting at any time. That means it's perfect price discovery. It reflects the perfect sum total of all goods and services as subjectively valued by all humans on planet Earth every second of every day. Whenever you put an intermediary in there, like a bank or a country, the fiat money is state money, and the other forms of credit are bank money. But if you do get rid of all that, you just have direct one-on-one or 1 to a billion commerce happening simultaneously globally. You have peace. Actually, is the ultimate upside of Bitcoin is that it's peace versus fiat money. Because it's a Ponzi scheme, it always favors war.
But it's important to remember what he mentions: fiscal deterioration and inflation. And when he's talking to Citibank wealth clients, or JP Morgan is talking to their high net worth individuals, or Fidelity is talking to their high net worth individuals, what these family offices and very wealthy people are concerned about is not speculation and money number go up. They're concerned about retaining and keeping their wealth for the next generation or two. So they want to not lose that wealth. So confiscation is often and usually done in the modern era through money printing, through inflation. So he's saying that this is like better than gold in terms of your wealth is not confiscatable through inflation, but through, in the case of gold in the United States, that's already been confiscated in the past, and it obviously could be done again. He also mentions that that the Bitcoin's going to stand out in this world of CBDCs, so the central bank digital currencies, versus gold. And he says this is a double-edged sword. On one side, CBDC, the central bank digital currency, creates a much more effective mechanism for distributing stimulus, particularly fiscal. But on the other side, it also makes capital confiscation easier. For example, negative interest rates. Both these scenarios would look to me to be positive Bitcoin, and in the 21st century, give us the digital equivalent, Bitcoin versus fiat digital, of what we saw in the 20th century when the financial regime changed, gold versus fiat paper. We said this quite a while ago, that this is a sort of moment of like 1971 when we went off the gold standard, and in terms of just a huge regime change. And in terms of the wealth confiscation, the negative interest rates get hit hardest to those who have savings in the savings account. If you look throughout Europe, where they have applied negative interest rates to deposits in the banks, it's mostly been people over 100,000 euros who are hit with these negative interest rates. So they're the ones that are going to be driving into gold and especially into Bitcoin.
Once again, Keiser Report is ahead of the curve, because when central bank digital currencies were first being talked about, a lot of the people in the other financial press was talking about it in terms of, well, this is going to compete with Bitcoin. But as we said at the time, and as now Citibank is agreeing with us, that it actually causes people to panic buy Bitcoin because they realize that the central bank digital currency will just be a way to, one, inflate the value of the money, or Michael Saylor calls it the melting ice cube, and B, gives them easier ways to confiscate wealth. So now there's a panic buy of Bitcoin, and we're seeing that in the price action. The price action is reflecting panic buying, and that panic buying is going to continue for a while.
Panic buying by not the ordinary public. You saw that in 2017. You see it in the Google Trends. There was mass searching for Bitcoin, how to buy Bitcoin back in 2017. Huge spikes. Anybody could go check it out. Today, there are none. All the people buying it now are those who will be hit by negative interest rates, who will be hit when this fiscal stimulus starts with these CBDCs. They are the Michael Saylors. They are the Paul Tudor Jones. They are the Stan Druckenmillers. These are people with billions of dollars, and it's hard to hang on to billions of dollars.
Right, and Michael Saylor says he wakes up in cold sweats, thinking he doesn't have enough Bitcoin. He's clearly panic buying Bitcoin. And so too, anybody who's got any wealth that they want to preserve in an environment of unlimited paper money being printed by the trillions and hundreds of trillions, and a government emboldened to confiscate all property. I mean, you thought the Saudis were bad in seizing all the prince's assets. Wait until you see what America does to its oligarchs.